Hello, this is Nostradamus, your sage for the Phone Age. Welcome once again to Phone Age News. Here are the latest headlines. A rather large earthquake has struck today just off the coast of Taiwan. I want to take a closer look. We zoom in and we get the details up on this. Got it down as a 6.2, a depth of 18 kilometres. I just want to show you where it's at. Zoom in and see what's there. Now, I had a little look at this earlier on, and I just want to show you what I found. Put a little placemat there. I just want to give you some perspective on the distance first. Just a touch under 1.5 miles. So we'll have a look what's here. A Catholic church. Well, there's not many Catholic churches in Taiwan. Anyway, authorities are stressing that any minor damage to the church is purely a result of the earthquake, with absolutely no other contributory factors. What have we got next in the news? Oh yes, this is brought to you by The Watchers. Very good website. Lightning bolt strikes Acropolis of Athens, injuring 4 people in Greece. Lightning bolt struck Athens' famous Acropolis yesterday, April 17, 2019, injuring 2 tourists and 2 guards. The lightning hit the citadel's lightning conductor, shattering glass windows in 2 nearby guard booths. Culture Minister itself, the Acropolis itself suffered no damage, adding the site was closed for the rest of the day since the strike knocked out electricity and entry system. Back in 1645, when Acropolis served as a fortress during the Ottoman Turkish occupation of Greece, a lightning bolt hit the entrance to the citadel, used as gunpowder stored at the time. The event caused a massive explosion and extensively damaged the building. Who says lightning never strikes twice? We'll have a quick look at what's going on with lightning at this very moment. This is the largest storm at present on the planet, just approaching New Orleans. Ooh, that's quite a storm going on. Presume there'll be some large hail with that. What else is in the news today? Oh yes. Dead pig brains bathed in artificial fluid showed signs of cellular life. Some right out of Frankenstein, this. Mary Shelley could have wrote this. Scientists have restored cellular activity to pigs' brains hours after the animal's death. An unprecedented feat. Oh, well done, you mad scientists. This revival, achieved with a sophisticated system of artificial fluid, took place 4 hours after the pig's demise at a slaughterhouse. This is a huge breakthrough, they said. Oh. What else did they say? There's a grey zone between dead animals and living animals. The experiments were conducted on pigs that had been killed in a food processing plant. These animals were destined to become pork. No animals died for this study, the authors of the new work write in their paper. Yeah, right. After decapitation, 300 pig heads put on ice and transported to the laboratory, where crazy scientists surgically removed their brains. Put the brains into an artificial system known as Brain X, a chamber with specifically designed blood replacement fluid that pumps through the blood vessels, delivering oxygen, sugar and other sustaining ingredients at body temperature to keep the brains operating. Oh God. I wonder if the poor little piggies became conscious. I don't want to think about it. Oh. Anyway, I think we'd all better get ready for the zombie apocalypse. Now it's time for today's in-depth report. The human footprint, past, present and future. Back in 1972, some scientists at MIT got together to write a computer program. The result was this, now iconic graph. Amazingly accurate, some 47 years later, it shows that we have now reached the peak of civilization and it's all downhill from here. Using the Doomatron, a quantum computer of my design, I have entered data on social factors which have an impact on planet Earth. Taking information from a decade ago and the present day, I have looked at current trends and extrapolated to give a forecast 10 years from now into the future of these important factors. Where better to start than world population growth? Back in 2009, human population of the planet was 6.9 billion. Now, just 10 years later, it has risen to almost 7.7 billion. And by the time we reach 2029, it's reckoned to reach 8.5 billion people. Now I want to take a look at beef consumption. Back in 10 years ago, back in 2009, the beef consumption of people was 127 billions of pounds in weight of beef. This year, we're looking at consuming 137 billion pounds of weight of beef, 10 billion pounds more than 10 years ago, an increase of 1 billion pounds in weight per year. However, in 10 years' time, I would expect 166 billion pounds in weight of beef to be consumed, an increase of almost 30 billion pounds on today. That. Now on to tropical tree cover loss. In 2009, the rate of loss of tropical tree cover in millions of hectares was about 9 million. This year is expected to have risen to almost doubled to 16 million hectares, and by 2029 the annual rate of tropical tree cover loss is expected to double again to 32 million hectares, until they've cut down every last one. Now, Here's a look at worldwide energy production produced by coal-fired power stations around the world in megawatts. Back in 2009, total output was 1.53 megawatts. This year, it's expected to rise to 2.02. That's an increase of a third. And by the year 2029, it's expected to rise again up to 2.32. So much for cutting down on fossil fuel use. Next, this is showing the amount of plastic manufactured annually in millions of tonnes. Back in 2009, the world produced 250 million tonnes of plastic. This year, that's expected to absolutely go through the roof to 373 million tonnes of plastic. And by the year 2029, we can be expecting to produce 500 billion tonnes of plastic. And it's reckoned in a couple of decades, ocean plastic will outweigh the fish. Who's going on holiday this year? Right, this is a graph on the number of air passengers carried in 1 year. Back in 10 years ago in 2009, commercial aircraft carried 2.25 billion people. This year, that figure is set to rise to 4.5 billion. And in 2029, 7 billion people will be expected to take a flight. World car production. These are passenger cars. In 2009, it was quite low that year because of the economic crash the year before, but we're going by that year anyway. The number of cars produced was 47.77 million cars. This year, the world's expected to produce 84 million vehicles. And in 2029, that figure is set to jump to 102 million new vehicles on the roads. Let's have a look at the total world public debt. Going back to our time frame of 2009, the total world public debt stood at £34 trillion. The current, at this moment, total current global public debt has risen to £58 trillion. And by 2029, the Doomatron reckons it will be almost £100 trillion at 98.6. I just don't get it. Every country owes every other country money. So, who is all this money owed to? It's a laugh, isn't it? Now I want to take a quick look at some of the effects our civilization is impacting and causing on the planet. Back in 2009, the CO2 levels in the atmosphere was 384 parts per million. The actual figure today has risen to 414 parts per million. and by 2029, if nothing changes, we could expect that to rapidly shoot up to 450 parts per million. This, of course, has an effect on global temperatures. These figures are going off a baseline 1951 to 1980 average. But if you want to go back to pre-industrial, you've got to add on quite a bit more than this. In 2009, the average global temperature above normal was 1.33 degrees centigrade. Today, it's just hit 1.5 degrees, and by the year 2029, assuming the feedbacks start kicking in, we're looking at a rise of at least 4 degrees centigrade above baseline pre-industrial levels. Now the effect on the Arctic sea ice. For the historical data, I've used the average from the 1981 to 2010 for Arctic sea ice extent in millions of square kilometres at 6.22. Last year's summer minimum in September, the ice melted down to 4.59 million square kilometres. By 2029, it'll be zero. And that concludes my human footprint report. And now it's time for the weather with my forecast for summer 2019. The sun has got his hat on. Hooray! The sun has got his hat on and he's coming out today. Now we'll all be happy. Hooray! The sun has got his hat on and he's coming out today. This is the forecast as catastrophic climate change begins to kick in. Let's have a look at what it all means. The black areas are going to become inhospitable to life. So anywhere around the equatorial regions, when the heat builds combined with the humidity, you've had it. The red areas, oh dear, it's going to get rather warm. Orange, expect much higher than average temperatures. So this is where the permafrost is. So you can expect all that to thaw out. Next. Oh, that sounds like a nice place for a summer holiday. In the Andes, or up north, or around the, let's have a beach holiday on the coast of Greenland. That'd be nice. Where else is there? Oh yeah, still going to be a bit chilly in Antarctica and in the heart of Greenland. So that just about concludes the weather forecast for the oncoming summer. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoy what little time you have left. Be nice to each other. And please refrain from eating your neighbours when the shit hits the fan. Don't forget to hit the like button and listen to my tune in the description box below. Much love to you all. TTYL.